many of you got an imagination? I'm looking at the age range here. So for some of you, you don't need an imagination. For some of you, you do need an imagination. Can you imagine a time when there were none of those? Can you imagine a time where there were none of those? And can you imagine a time where there was none of that? Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was 1964. 1964 was a very important year for me. You see, lots happened to me in 1964. In May 1964, my mother died, which was sad. In June 1964, I took my GCSEs. In August 1964, I didn't do very well. I always used my mother's death as an excuse for doing badly in my GCSEs. The truth was, I wasn't very clever. In August 1964, the headmaster at Bury Grammar School, where I went, has anybody got any connections with Manchester or the North West at all? Oh, you have. Oh, Karen here and I went to the same school. I went to Bury Grammar School boys. She went to the girls' school. I was hauled into the headmaster's study after getting these exam results. And the headmaster said to me, and this is what headmasters do, or did in those days, they looked down the glasses and said, "Kintish, your exam results weren't very good. I think you ought to leave and go and get a job." "What am I going to do, sir?" I said. "You see, I had my whole life mapped out. I was going to be a pharmacist, a chemist like Uncle Arthur. My father was one of 8 children, and the only one that had any money at all was Uncle Arthur. Uncle Arthur, he lived in a big house. Uncle Arthur drove a Jaguar car. And Uncle Arthur went on the most magnificent holidays to Bournemouth." Now, Bournemouth is what? An hour from here? From Manchester, it was about 8 hours in those days. There were no motorways. "But sir, I want to be a pharmacist," I said. He said, "You're not very clever." He said, "I think you ought to go and get a job." "What am I going to do, sir?" I said. He said, "The only thing you're quite good at is mathematics, so you might as well go and be an accountant." Ladies and gentlemen, from 1964 all the way through to the end of the 20th century, I trained as, I qualified as, and I practiced as a chartered accountant. And then that beautiful day happened, the 1st of June in the year 2000, when I left accountancy, and all I've been doing for the last 17 years, 24 days and 11 hours, not that I'm counting, showing people like you how to become effective and confident networkers. Now, some of you might have thought, how did he leave accountancy one day and do what he's doing another? Did any of you think that for half a second? 6 nods, I'll take it as a majority. For 2 years before I left accountancy, for a hobby, I started to train as a trainer with an organisation called Dale Carnegie. Anybody heard of that man? He wrote a book. He wrote the book. Who knows the book? Tell them. How to Win Friends and Influence People. How to Win Friends and Influence People. Have you all heard the phrase? How to Win Friends and Influence People. And if you haven't read the book, or you've got children between the age of 11 upwards, buy them the book. It was written in 1935. And you know what? It was voted the best management book of the 20th century. And even today, it's in the top 10 bestsellers of UK self-help books. And whatever language you were born with, it will be in that language.